that I could have listened to it on the car on the way home.
You never listen to anything that I send you.
Yes, I do. I at least look at it. The title of the video, sometimes, most of the time I don't listen to it, but at least I open it and I look at it.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Whatever. Good morning, guys.
I'm leaving. I feel personally attacked. So I'm going to be the bigger person to get out of the car.
You feel personally attacked. What kind of tale is that? Good morning, Margaret. You get out my car. Good morning. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. We're having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is JoJo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So what better place to be than here with me? Why did you want to say that in unison with me?
So people can understand that we're the same person.
We're not.
We look so much alike.
I don't think me and Rosie look alike at all. Do y'all think we look alike?
Let me stop smiling so hard.
My eyebrows look like little marching bands.
And I actually have eyebrows.
Get out my car. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Thank you for joining the show. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope you're ready to get this day started. Margaret says we do look alike.
See?
No.
Good
Be
morning.
peaceful. We are not. Why everybody keeps saying we're twins? Put your face back up here. Put your face back up.
We look alike.
Don't be making faces like me. Get out of my car. You get out. I love you. Be peaceful. Have a good day.
Do you have on chapstick?
Mm-mm.
What do you have on? Did you lick my face?
I had chapstick on early this morning. This is real life. I just want to carry on with the show because I know y'all time is important. Clearly, Rosemond.
I just want to make sure that everyone starts off with a laugh so that you
everybody did start off with a laugh. So thank you. Thank you.
See, look at that, because y'all act just alike.
Margaret.
You're right. Except for her and Courtney can do like the same motion. It's really bad because I look like her, but her and Courtney act the exact same. It's like they can sit right next to each other and they'll do the same exact thing and not even notice it. And I'm like, y'all weird.
Rosie is me when I was younger. Like if nobody had filtered me and forced me to kind of conform to the world, I would be Rosemond today.
Sorry, that car,
she doesn't know how to drive. Yeah. So good morning. Have a great day. Be peaceful.
You too.
Okay.
Can you get your life together?
She trying to straighten up in the parking space.
She ain't in a parking. Oh God.
There she goes. She did a good job.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. Let's try this one more time. We're having confessions and conversations about your everyday life and finances. My name is Yamitra JoJo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So what better place to be than here with me? So, y'all, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you share the show. Remember, if your friends and family... Did you see that? Did you see the faces my child made to me? She treats me like that all the time. All the time. But no joke. I would be Rosie if I had not conformed to the world. And when I conformed to the world, Courtney is now that version of me. So I get to see me if I had no filter, and I see me now. And it's really, really scary. And I think that's why me and Rosie, we get along so differently than me and Courtney. So when I have that grandiose words and dreams and I want to dance, and y'all, do y'all know I want to be in a rock band? Did I ever tell y'all that? I take that to Rosie, and Rosie's like, absolutely, mommy, you can be in a rock band. And Courtney says, let's be logical, mom, you can be in a rock band, however, but Rosie lets me be in a rock band instantaneously. Like, she goes, grabs the spoon, and I'm singing in my own rock band right then. So Rosie is me if I had not conformed to the world. She is free, and she speaks her mind, and her confidence and ego level is on 1 gazillion at all times and at all places. and she has no problem letting you know that. So that's my little baby. And Courtney is the logical thinking part of me. So welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you watched the show on last week. We talked about stop giving people permission to change who you are, and whoever you blame is who you give power to. That was the topic on Friday. Go back and watch that show because it was really, really, really good. And I am looking, if you know somebody, I am looking for somebody. I have maybe like 20 videos I would really, really love to have transcribed. Like, they type out what I said so that I can do something. I got a plan for those, but I'm looking for somebody to transcribe those videos. It's about 20 of them. Yes, I'm willing to pay, but I need somebody that's going to be good and expeditious about the process. So if you know anybody, please let me know. Send them my way. All right, so today's Fearless Thought of the day, and I'm reading this because a lot of times, I don't think I ever shared this with you guys. Sometimes we all talk to ourselves, right? And so I have thoughts, and in the middle of the day, I put, the note section of your phone. So I write them in the note section of my phone. I was like, oh, that's a good thought. Let me keep it for future, because you never know when you're going to need a moment of inspiration or something. And so sometimes I go back and I read them like, that would be a good Fearless Thought of the day. But then I can't read from my phone, because I'm on my phone. So then I have to rewrite it. It's okay. It's going to be a good day. So, Fearless Thought of the day. Sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. Sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. And if anybody knows me, if you've been coming to this show, you know I love to talk. I can talk till the cows come home. I can talk. We can talk about I can talk about anything, all kinds of stuff. I can just talk. But sometimes your silence is mandatory. And I think it's a fine here's a confession. So I've been aggravated and frustrated lately, right? We talked about that on Friday. So if you missed the show on Friday, go back. I won't retell that story, but go back and watch Friday about how I've been, y'all watched me work it out on Friday. Like, for real, y'all watched me work it out. And so I've just been a little frustrated, and I have always been, and I'm getting better at not being a know-it-all. Like, oh, let me tell you, because if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. So I'm a good 80% better at being a know-it-all. But a lot of times, if I am frustrated or I feel like somebody doesn't understand the point I'm trying to make, it is going to eat my soul alive until I break it down into bite-sized pieces so that they understand exactly where I'm coming from. And I have learned, this is a lesson I can't seem to get to stick to my brain, because I do it all the time. Some people don't care what you think. They don't want to know what you think. They could give a rat's behind about you and your idea, period. They just don't care. And they don't have the mental capacity to begin to understand your explanation of the thing. They just don't. They can't comprehend it. It ain't in their venue. It ain't in their mindset. It ain't in their thought process. They just don't. And there's no amount of words that I can say that's going to make them understand me or make them want to understand what I'm saying, whether they're right or wrong. Hardest lesson I've ever had to learn. So and this is where this thought comes from. Sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. It is in those moments when I meet those people when my frustration level is on 10,000, because I want them to understand and maybe see things a different way. And if they just saw them a different way, maybe their mind would be opened up to different things. It is right there when I had to learn that silence is mandatory. It is in my best interest, and it will behoove me to keep my mouth shut. So, one, I don't frustrate myself any further. Number two, I'm stopping the crazy instantaneously. Because what you don't know is that when you're trying to convince somebody, not even convince, but share your thought process just to make them see things differently, you, my friend, especially if they don't have the capacity, they don't want to, you're in the midst of crazy right there. So I'm saving myself the frustration. I'm stepping aside from crazy, number two. And number three, like I said on Friday, sometimes they can't hear what you have to say. They have to see what you have to say. Meaning, I have to walk out the explanation of the thing. I can't talk out the thing. That means I can't tell you enough about, oh, this is going to be great, this is going to be amazing, and this, if you just really thought about this, then you could perhaps change your, if you would just let go of that bad relationship, then you would have this, and this. And sometimes they don't care, JoJo, what you got to say. They don't want to know. And so it is at that point that JoJo has to be silent, because silence is mandatory. Because sometimes words are not the things that people need. They need actions. They need to see it before they can hear it. We as humans are visual learners. All humans are visual learners. Period. Not just we're all visual learners. And sometimes what's that? Y'all know, is my mama on here? My mama will tell you in a minute. You probably said this to your children. I can show you better than I can tell you. The same applies to when you're interacting with crazy or that situation that frustrates you. Now, true, there are sometimes when you absolutely can't be silent. You've got to say what you got to say. But there are a lot of times when your silence is mandatory for your own peace of mind, number one. And then number two, and this is a fine line I had to realize. If I valued the friendship or the working relationship, silence sometimes was better, because me talking would have made it worse. And I talked about that on Friday too, because sometimes people are going to not accept what you have to say in a friendly way, and it's not going to be received as respectful in the way that you meant it. And so sometimes, again, silence is mandatory. Although talking is necessary, oftentimes silence is mandatory. So here's the second part of Phyllis Thought for the day. And I'm gonna, my handwriting is so bad, but that's okay. Your moral character is everything, and it's the only thing that gives you a compass for your decision making. It's that simple. When you complicate it with words, you're providing excuses for behaviors and things you want to overlook. So that goes hand in hand with sometimes talking is necessary. Oftentimes silence is mandatory. Good morning, Lynn. Your moral character is everything, and it's the only thing that gives you a compass for decision making. It's that simple. When you complicate it with words, you're providing excuses for behaviors and things you want to overlook. So even though we may want to talk it out, sometimes your silence is mandatory. And then it's in that silence where your moral character is absolutely your everything. Because if we overcomplicate it with words, it becomes more frustrating for us. And then we lose the value of what we're trying to say. Have you ever been talking to somebody and you got their point 10 minutes ago, but they keep going at it? Do I do that? Sometimes I do that. I'm guilty of that sometimes. Sometimes silence is mandatory. I learned that lesson. Last week. If you missed the show on Friday, please go back and watch it. Y'all can see I worked out that frustration where my silence is mandatory. Now, on the flip side, this weekend, I learned another valuable lesson that, and you got to pick, then this is where the other part comes in, when your moral character will be your compass to tell you, when is the right time to say what and when. Because I had an opportunity this weekend to not to be silent and to speak my truth. And remember my quote, strengthen your voice by speaking your truth. And so I was able to speak my truth, and it started out with a very low voice. And the more I spoke it, the stronger my voice got and the stronger I felt. And when I was done, I felt better because I had been silent on it for so long. It was eating me alive. And I did it in the most respectful way that I knew how, but I did it also in the most honest way that I could. And I felt so much better. When I tell you I felt better, I slept like a little baby. Like I slept so good. I slept like I hadn't slept in a long time. You've got to know there's a fine line between when you speak it and when silence is mandatory. Because if I'm just participating in the crazy with my words, then it's not bringing any value to me whatsoever. Sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. So on Friday, I learned that my silence was mandatory. When I got off this show on Friday, my silence was mandatory. I didn't say a word. And for people that know me, when I'm silent, they're like, JoJo, what's wrong with you? You ain't saying nothing. And the people automatically assume something's wrong when I don't talk. And that's fine. Oftentimes, silence is mandatory to get your point across. And I accomplished that on Friday. I got my point across by not participating in the crazy and the frustration. Your moral character is everything. And it's the only thing that gives you a compass for decision making. It's that simple. When you complicate it with words, you're providing excuses for behaviors and things you may want to overlook. Period. So on this, what's the day? Margaret, what's the day? It's Monday. Marvelous Monday. Manic Monday. What's another Monday? Miraculous Monday. I don't know any other Mondays. But it's Monday. So today, which one are you going to be? Are you going to be silent or are you going to talk? Sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. Let your moral character be your compass today to decide if it's a situation you need to talk about or if it's one you need to be silent on. Because sometimes they can't hear it. They need to see it walked out. They need to see what you're trying to say instead of you telling them what you're seeing. Does that make sense? Sometimes people they don't have the mental capacity to understand it. And so they got to see it first because we're visual learners. So they have to see what you're trying to say well before they can hear what you have to say. They have to see what you have to say well before they can hear what you have to say. And sometimes you have to do that because it's most respectful to the people that you're dealing with. It's most respectful to yourself and the situation as well. I'm just saying. So I learned the hard way. I learned it all this weekend. I learned Friday it was great for me to be silent. And then yesterday I learned that talking was necessary and that I absolutely had to speak my truth so that I wasn't continuing to eat it and then dying slowly because I'm eating a piece of my truth to accommodate others. And that's not fair. That's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me. It's not fair to them because they don't know, and that the expectations are not known. And then it's not fair to me. It's stressing me out because the expectations are not known and they're not spoken. So you got to find that thin line of when is talking necessary and when is silence mandatory. And as a person who is working on not being a know-it-all, because I'm 80% down. On a good day, I might be 50% down. But I'm almost 80% there. It is hard. It was hard for me to keep my mouth closed and to realize that sometimes silence is mandatory and I have to let them see it before they can hear it. And that's what your mama say. I can show you better than I can tell you. And I know I told my children that a gazillion times. I know I've said it at work a gazillion times. I can show you better I can tell you. And sometimes that is what's required. Period. Because oftentimes people have a difficult time understanding words. They can't comprehend words because we're visual learners, and they absolutely need to see it before they can hear it. So on today, guys, I knew the show was going to be short for you today because that was my confession for the day. I learned a lot. I had 2 lessons today over the weekend. One was when to talk, and the other one was when to be silent. And y'all, it was hard for me to be silent on Friday because in my mind, I was all the things right. In my mind, I was snapping my neck. And in my mind, I was, let me tell you what's fixing to happen, because what we not about to do. And so I learned that silence at that point was mandatory because me speaking would have. And then when you're deciding if you need to speak, because speaking is necessary, but oftentimes silence is mandatory. When you're deciding if you need to speak or you need to be quiet, ask yourself the 3 questions. What is my intent? What is my intention? Why am I saying yes? And what is the outcome that I want from this situation? Because then that's going to determine whether I'm silent or whether I'm speaking. What is the outcome that I want? Because I can be right. I can be the girl that was like, let me tell you how wrong you are and let me break it down for you. I can do all the things. But if I do all the things, am I going to get the result that I want? Or is it, because sometimes doing all the things, it's not going to get you the result you want. And you're still going to be frustrated and angry because they still didn't get it. And they still don't care. And yet you've lost your whole mind yelling and screaming for them to get something, again, that they don't have the mental capacity to understand nor do they want to get. So, sometimes talking is necessary. However, oftentimes silence is mandatory. So, silence was mandatory on Friday. And on yesterday, speaking was necessary. You've got to learn that fine line for yourself. Because, and then what is the end result that you want? Your moral character is everything. It's the only thing that gives you a compass for your decision making. So listen to that today so it can help you decide whether you need to be silent or whether you need to talk. And then think about the outcome that you want to achieve from that. Like, what is the outcome that I want? Because I can be all the things. I can have a smart mouth. I can say bad words. I can tell you all about yourself. And I can be all the things right because I am working on not being a Miss Know-It-All. But what is the end result that I want from that? Sometimes talking is necessary, but oftentimes silence is mandatory. So on this marvelous Monday, miraculous Monday, somebody give me another Monday, Manic Monday. Y'all remember that song? Anyway, it's Monday morning. So on this Monday morning, what better time to practice whether you need to be silent or whether you need to talk? And ask yourself always the standard 3 questions. What is your intent? What is your intention? And why are you saying yes? For you to decide whether you need to talk or whether you be silent. Because at the end, are you going to get the result that you want? Or are you just going to walk away more frustrated than when you began? Or is it going to incite your crazy? Is it going to be the trigger for your crazy to continue for the day? Make it happen Monday. Thank you, Lynn. Make it happen Monday. So think about that today, guys. So I hope you have an amazing Monday. Don't forget, if your friends and family do not have Facebook, you can go over to the YouTube channel and binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. If you want I Am My Sister's Keeper t-shirt, go to livepastcrazy.com and pick you up a t-shirt over there. Because you can pre-order those for you. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Please don't forget to share the show because sharing is caring. And I will see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one.